All right, and like that, we're back. This is XQ. We're going to be doing the Medhi Hasan, one progressive versus 20 far right conservatives. Pretty much a watch along. We'll have some, dialogue, conversation, chit chat a little bit. I actually have one of the Unpacked favorites that he's gonna watch along. He's gonna give commentary as well. Should be a fun one because we agree and disagree on a lot of different points. To no further ado, let me bring up my guy Kofi. Kofi, what's going on, brother?
What's up? What's up, Q? What's up? What's up? Yeah, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, as you see from his background, he's already picked a side. It's not even a question to guess. But nonetheless, with that said, we ain't gonna take too long to really hop into it. I'm gonna push play on it. Well, Kofi, have you watched some of this already?
Yeah, so I've watched this whole debate or whatever.
Okay.
I didn't see the Piers Morgan thing though. So I'm not going to show that, but I didn't see the Piers Morgan. But I did see the Jubilee debate. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Chat, as y'all kind of come in here, make sure you comment, talk to us.
Hit that like button.
Hit that like, comment, subscribe. The super chats are always open. Make sure you share the video. Again, we're gonna kind of just talk, have some conversation around it. I know that the video is about 1:40. Depending on how this conversation goes, we might not make it through it. Might have to do a part 2 to finish everything out. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversation that'll be kind of, that'll come from these conversations, these debates. With that said, let me not filibuster, and I'm going to just push play on it.
I'm Medhi Hasan. I'm a journalist. I'm the editor of Zeteo. And today I'm surrounded by 20 far-right conservatives.
And before we get too deep, so Kofi, do you have a POV on Medhi Hasan?
Yeah. I pretty much used to work for MSNBC. Mm-hmm. He's very, very sharp, very, very intelligent. He's going to introduce himself. I pretty much agree, with his political ideology and his journalistic integrity and his integrity as a whole. So. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of debates. He comes on Piers Morgan. He does a lot of these debates on other political channels, and he holds his own. So, yeah. Yeah.
From what I've seen him in, I've seen him inside some conversations based around the Israel-Palestine conflict. I feel like I might have seen him inside like a back and forth debate-esque type of thing with like liberal versus conservative. Maybe it was based around Trump inside some capacity, in which I think he has like really, really fleshed out interesting takes. So I'm interested to see. I've watched the Jordan Peterson one against the liberals. I've watched the Candace Owens. Matter of fact, I think me and you watched a good portion.
Yeah, we did the Candace.
The Candace Owens one. I'm trying to think of who else been on here. Maybe it was like Charlie Kirk or something like that. I do enjoy. I enjoy everything about these conversations outside of the rush to the chair part. And yeah, I mean, you almost kind of
ditto. Yeah, I don't like that rush to the chair stuff, but you kind of see when you pay attention is like they let certain people go. You know what I'm saying? So everyone could have a turn.
Yeah, because they typically, from what I've started to see, is that they'll try and grab some heavy hitters from the content space that are based around, like if it's they need liberals inside the 20, they'll make sure they get some notable liberals. Or if it's some conservatives, it'd be like some of the conservative social media influencers that have followings to make sure that they kind of all right.
I mean, and they'll get, and it's a wide spectrum of them, so they'll get from like the moderate to the, I mean, this is all far right. But even I'm so used to these Jubilee debates that I recognize some of the same people that are in the Republican space, and I kind of know what their opinions are. So some people there, I'm like, that person is far right, and because I remember hearing them like a year ago, their ideology is not that far right, but just say they got like a mixed bag here, but they got some nuts in here, but whatever.
Okay,
you'll see.
All right, I'll push play on it.
My first claim is Donald Trump is pro-crime and pro-criminal. Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Medhi.
I would just like to ask, what makes someone pro-crime versus, anti-crime?
I think when you're soft on criminals, when you let criminals out of prison, when you pardon people who've assaulted police officers, you're pro-criminal. Donald Trump pardoned almost 1,600 people who were involved in January the 6th. I think 600 of them.
Okay, pretty much 1,600, yeah. The fact check says, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office of D.C., approximately pretty much 1,600 people were federally charged with crimes January 6th. All of them were pardoned.
Been charged with,
which is also interesting because I think, was it the QAnon shaman, whatever his name is?
Yeah,
like,
shaman.
Like a lot of them, they're
Torres, Proud Boys, all that out.
But what I was gonna say is that like a lot of them, especially like the QAnon guys, like they're starting to flip, even though he pardoned them, because like if you know a lot about like the QAnon, Pizzagate, and all that, it's based around the idea of deep state and diddling kids and things like that. And the role that he's playing in this whole Epstein thing now has a couple of them that was pardoned, i.e., like the QAnon shaman, pretty much coming out now and pushing back and almost denouncing Trump. So I think that's his own interesting little twist.
And then at the same time, all the people that's pardoned is a full pardon. So it's not like a pardon on probation. And some of the people who have pardoned, or repeat offenders, they have committed other crimes. One was a child molester. One was some particular type of shootout. It's a lot of projection. So, and it's the Pizzagate thing, the whole Pizzagate thing, which was like a total fraud, obviously, because they said there's a basement in this pizza, and there was never a basement in the pizza. There was no basement in the Pizza Hut. So the whole Pizzagate thing is, yeah.
All right, we'll keep walking through it.
Assaulting a police officer or obstructing a police officer. 170 had pled guilty to assaulting a police officer. 70 had pled guilty to assault with a deadly weapon. J.D. Vance said, we're not going to pardon the violent criminals from January 6th. Donald Trump pardoned all of them. Are you okay with that?
I would say January 6th is a very special case. I would say it's almost a climax point in history. I would just phrase the question this way. Right now in the LA protests, if they were to, just for example, they were to rush the capital of LA, I mean, they'd have to move over all the homeless people living in tents on the steps of the Capitol. But if they were managed to get into the Capitol and they were just protesting, peacefully, let's say police officers were rushing them in, they were letting them in and saying, hey, you guys can go in, like we have many testimonies that say.
What about the violent ones, though?
Okay, violent ones like
a man named David Dempsey, a judge, a Reagan-appointed judge, sentenced to 20 years in prison. He stomped on police officers' heads. The judge said his conduct was exceptionally egregious. He attacked police officers with flagpoles and pepper spray. Donald Trump pardoned him. There's a man named Daniel Rodriguez. He got 12 years in prison.
See, and that's the thing about Medhi. Medhi's sharp. So, like, he came in with a fully loaded, barrel of bullets to where, like, he's ready for, especially like, because I'm not sure how dense this guy is right here, but he seems fairly surface level, and it's almost like he's asking the questions that Medhi like almost is begging him and wants him to ask.
Yeah, but he's not, because he already conceded. So he says, and I repeat, he says, well, January 6th is a climatic point in history. Then he went to the LA riots. Remember, the prompt is Donald Trump is pro-crime.
Yeah.
I mean, so why are we talking about, Los Angeles riots? It's they always do this pivot stuff.
Well, yeah, I imagine what he's going to attempt to do is to kind of brush off the, not the LA riot, but the January 6th, because it's just going to be a hard place to actually win any part of a debate at. Exactly. But if you kind of push it to where like the LA riots, where you give your hypothetical and you place it inside like the liberal space, he can kind of exaggerate it to where he can say Trump's not as, pro-crime, pro-criminal, or he's as equivalent to the left or the right. To the left, I guess you would say. I imagine that's what he's going to try and do. I don't know how successful.
Even if he were to do that, I would be like, okay, you know what? Forget about figure out that. Let's talk about that. Gavin Newsom was supposed to order the federal guard. Donald Trump just sent them there, so he's still breaking, you know what I'm saying, the rule of law. So
yeah,
that's what I would do. I know it's a hypothetical, but that I will let him, give him rope to hang himself. I say you run away from the initial point, but you want to talk about the LA riots. Let's talk about the LA riots. What about Donald Trump sending on the National Guard without permission of the governor Gavin Newsom? That's what I would say. But yeah, hypothetical.
Gotcha. Shout out to who is this? Arnaz Chandra. I can't pronounce your name. But I guess you like BBLs. Shout out to you. Shout out to the trolls. It like we enjoy. If you want to come in and troll, we're gonna enjoy it. We'll have fun with you as well. I will drop the call-in link soon to where if you want to kind of call in and talk through some of this episode with us, we'll do that. But I'll push play. My bad.
For taking a stun gun and tasing a police officer in the neck and giving him a heart attack. The judge said he was a one-man army of hate. Donald Trump pardoned him. Does that not make Trump pro-criminal? He's letting violent criminals out of prison.
I would say no, it doesn't make him pro-criminal.
You're okay with that?
I did not say that. I said that one pardon against somebody.
It was 1,600 pardons. 600 of those were people charged with...
one example that you just gave me.
I can give you more. Should I keep going?
Fine. And I'll say the exact same thing every single time.
Then your argument will fall apart because it's not just one example. So keep going.
Man, this is a nasty box. Yeah, like I said, you can tell that this guy... He probably he looks like he's young, maybe like 23 to 25.
Yeah.
And he's probably around a lot of uneducated liberals. So like a slight pushback will kind of spin them and like put them into a whirlwind. So he obviously came in overconfident. And he looked like an asshole, in my opinion, right now. Like Medhi's laying out the box. He's about to put the duct tape over it, in my opinion. That's what it's looking like is about to happen.
Yeah. He's gonna be
okay.
And Medhi, I'm not gonna say, but he breaks the fourth wall. That's what I love about this. He breaks the Jubilee fourth wall. But
gotcha.
For 9 criminal offenses, attacking police with a deadly weapon, destroying government property.
How do pardons that probably shouldn't have happened turn into pro-crime?
So you've agreed that they shouldn't have been pardoned?
Sure, but that wasn't your claim. Was January 6th? Your claim was Trump is pro-crime.
Yeah, because he pardons criminals.
Okay, I would say that's a fault.
Yeah, so in essence, he lost the
he
full
pardoned
debate
people
already.
like Paul Walchuk.
Yeah, you see the flag going up.
Millions
so
of dollars
his
own employees was sentenced to tax crimes, had to pay back $4 million. Trump pardoned him. He bought himself a $2 million yacht. Why is he pardoning criminals like that?
Well, I don't know. I don't think you should. I don't think really presidential pardon should be a thing at all. But
all right, conservatives, y'all got to get a better one. That was an easy dub right there. That might have been a clean sweep. Yeah. Jubilee. I hope that y'all have at least some decent, well prepared conservatives to kind of push back and give some fair conversation because that was BTA belt to ass right there.
So Q, real quick. So what would be your position real quick on this question? We already know what my position is. What would you be your position on this particular prompt?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Medhi's stance, generally speaking. I imagine if they get somewhere to the weeds somewhere, maybe I can find a disagreement. But like on its face, what he's laying out and what we know rich billionaires to be and to do are people that continually sue surf law unless it's convenient for them. And that's kind of been the story of Trump, even where he's right now kind of falling into this whole Epstein trap of whatever that's going to end up being. It's the idea that Trump has played close to the line of, what is legal, illegal, all the way down to his tax returns, to the people he's hung out with, i.e. Epstein, and the things that they've done, i.e. the letters that he writes to the birthday party, his 50th birthday party, and I'll keep my secret, you keep your, whatever the shit is that they say. Like Trump plays that line, and I think that Trump is an interesting character because he also knows how to, he's masterful at identity politics. Because who would have ever thought, if you was to just write this out as a screenplay, that a billionaire, a New York billionaire with a history of, like, we'll just say exploiting people, could convince the majority of poor America that he has their best interest without ever showing them any version of a thing that he's done and what he will do that will actually benefit them. Like, you would think that like that script wouldn't make it, but Trump's been able to sell it.
Yeah, he has, because I mean, when he said coming into his first time he was running, he said I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and I get away with it. And then they asked his supporters, what if Trump was actually shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue? They have like reporters, they do Trump rallies, and they ask his supporters. They was like, oh, if he did that, the person must have did something wrong. Like, they make up these excuses and these scenarios of why it's something unjustly wrong on his face makes sense if Trump is going to do it. So these are the type of people that we're dealing with. Yeah.
So nonetheless, like I said, this one's an easier one. I don't really have like a heavy disagreement. That's where I'm hoping that you can find somebody that gives some decent pushback to where it'll make the conversation interesting. But yeah, we'll look at one or two more, and if it doesn't get interesting, we can skip to the next prompt.
Don't worry, brother. It will. It will.
All right, pause. That means something. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Thanks.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Medhi?
What is it?
Medhi.
You're from northern UK, I guess?
I'm from London, North London.
Okay, fair enough. What's your ethnic background, if you don't mind asking?
My parents are from...
Where you from?
Exactly. Where you from? Where you from? That sounds kind of familiar. Sounds very familiar. White supremacists for
no. Where your parents from?
Exactly. Before they engage in a conversation, they kind of want to say who you are, what you are, in order to discredit you. Like, you can't have valid information on your stance. And when it comes to identity politics, Republicans play hard when it comes to identity politics, because he even didn't address the prompt. Oh, where you from? You're from blah, 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 blah. So already this is off to a bad start.
Yeah.
India.
Okay, perfect. Just getting premise here. First of all, I want to say
the premise of Donald Trump being pro-crime.
No. I want to concern myself with why you care about what's happening in the U.S. first and foremost.
God damn, this shit is the exact talk track. That's hilarious.
Secondly, I want to say this. The
should
argument,
should people who live in the U.S. not care about that?
Let's not interrupt each other, because I have this thing. Like, people know I have this thing. I have to stay calm. Okay. Here's the thing. I am happy that he released J6. In fact, so much so that I was prepared to protest if he didn't.
Okay.
So when you say, are you okay that he's pro-crime? Sure, because you know what? We're changing the definition of what crime is, first and foremost.
You don't think stomping on police officers' heads is a crime?
I don't think it's no longer a relevant conversation anymore. You're
really?
arguing. No, it's not, because you know what? Okay, have you seen the U.S. in the last 4 or 5 years?
Yes, I've
BLM protests. Have you seen? Okay, myself have been involved in these protests. I've seen egregious things that you couldn't even imagine.
So
being done to conservatives. It's not about that. It's about tribal warfare.
Okay.
That's where we're at in the U.S. I don't know where you're at in the U.K. You're from India, so I don't really.
I'm not from India.
Oh, sorry, your parents are from India. Sorry.
I'm an American
You have
citizen.
your own state.
Oh my god, this shit is hilarious. But it's so interesting hearing like very similar identity politics play itself out, and it's just interchanging the ethnic group. Yeah. He's also hilarious. He has the green shirt and he quotes the Hulk. But shout out LTO. Yeah, look, I guess how calm he is. I don't know. This seems like this one's going to be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
American, you know.
You're an American citizen?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know how you got that, but fair enough. Here's the thing.
Are you
I don't know how you got that.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Sure how you got that? Okay.
Born here.
Okay.
Born here, and my family lineage is settlers from the 1500s. So I have.
Oh, he threw that. I love this. This is
white FBA. This is the white FBA. This is I've been here.
Well, he FWA for sure.
Yeah, he FWA.
Yeah.
Some stake in the claim here, okay?
But you're
a little different.
You're a descendant of immigrants, settlers,
I didn't know.
colonialists.
Yeah,
You
colonials.
don't look very Native American to me.
Native. I am Native American. Whites are Native Americans. What
Sorry.
are you talking about?
Like I don't know if there could have been a better parody right here than like some of the conversations we end up having, because like these are the exact talk tracks that we tend to run across often. Shout out Unc. Why is a dude from, let me see what Unc say. Let me try and scroll this over. Why is a dude from England even interested in what's going on in America? I think he lives in America. That's kind of exactly what they're having a conversation about right now. In which he's a well-known, I guess, political pundit. Does he have his own show on?
Yeah. So what happened? He was very vocal about what was going on in Palestine, and all of a sudden he was canceled. So it was probably like 2 years ago or whatever. So yeah, he has his own little network.
Is it like I think it was like Breaking Point or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, like he's a fairly
canceled, and she got her own little thing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, but he's a fairly known political pundit.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
But the whole whites are Native Americans thing is hilarious.
Yeah, like I said, like it right now. If I was to do a parody with like some of the conversations that we have on Unpack, especially earlier Unpack, and like the exact script, and then if I want to make it a parody and put a white guy in it, like this is almost exactly it. He asked him first where he was from, where his people was from. Said that his lineage is traced back to the 1500s, and then that he's indigenous, native to the land. I don't know if you could really if you could write it any different. It's like a South Park episode.
Yeah, or
Native Americans.
Really?
I think
what was happening before the 1500s?
I think you're getting confused with it.
I don't mind going on a tangent, but what was happening before the 1500s?
Calm down. I think you're getting.
What was happening before the 1500s?
There was indigenous people here that came here from Asia.
Do you know what indigenous means?
Listen, before
indigenous
America,
people come from somewhere else.
Why do you ask a question if you're going to interrupt?
I'm not sure if you know what the meaning of indigenous means.
I do know what it means. It means they came here first, right? They came here from Asia by way of land bridge. Have an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson or anybody else about that. I don't care.
Is he an American?
I genuinely don't care. Yes, he is.
Okay, just checking.
My point is, okay,
nothing to do with crime. So far, you've agreed with me that these people are criminals.
Because you're derailing, dude. I'm trying to stay on track.
You literally sat down and asked me where I'm from. I think you derailed this conversation.
I think you got offended by that, but I'm
not offended. I'm just wondering what it has to do with crime.
I'm always curious.
We're going to talk about immigration. Don't worry. Later on, you can come back.
I hope so.
Right now, you're doing a very bad job of making the case that he's not pro-crime.
I just got a round of applause. I could probably get another one actually if I asked for it.
Wow.
So I don't think I'm doing
this. Is this how you get rounds of applause? You sit in a room with 20 people who agree with you. Wow, amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. This is This is
Medhi's trolling hard. I like that.
That must make you feel good.
You know what? I'm actually
20 people
glad
agree with you. Applauded you.
Outraged right now. This is great.
I love it.
Do I have to say anything at this point, or are you just going to keep going?
Please.
Okay.
Make your claim.
My claim is that I don't care if it's pro-crime. You want to go back to the topic of conversation?
That's fine. We agree then. He's pro-crime.
But I have a question for you though. Do you care on the opposite side of the spectrum?
Yes.
Do you care about law being administered to the opposite side of the spectrum?
I think anyone who assaults a police officer shouldn't be pardoned. I think that Donald Trump shouldn't have pardoned 9 Republican members of Congress who were convicted of crimes, and I don't think Joe Biden should commit. I don't think Democrats should pardon Democrats.
Fair, but I don't think you understand where we are in the U.S. then.
I think I do.
No, because you're arguing from a position of like a U.S. that doesn't exist anymore. Okay. We're headed towards
nihilism. No laws, nothing matters.
It's not about
everyone's pro-crime.
It's not about that. It's that conservatives for too long have been playing it safe. They've been playing by the law. They've been playing by the law. Yes, they have.
Maybe you missed the Bush presidency. Did you live here during the Bush years?
Conservatives are
didn't play by the law, George W. Bush, nor did Ronald Reagan.
Let's be respectful to you. Let me finish.
I'm not sure you've been that respectful, but okay.
I'm trying to bring it back, so let's both bring it back. Okay, I'm conservative. Okay,
really?
Let me tell you this: we do play it too safe. We've been playing it by the book for too long. Okay. At this point, gloves are off. Right? The left has made their point. They're willing to do.
The police force in Washington, the left.
Yes. Are you kidding me? The left? Are you insane?
Police officers?
Look. Okay, look at LA right here. You think those stand down?
You think the LAPD are a bunch of liberal Marxists?
No, but I
Really?
think they listen to liberal Marxists who tell them what to do.
Okay.
I think they listen to who signs
Appreciate
their
you,
petitions.
LTO.
the
Just
day
check
who are
because
liberal
you're doing lots
Marxists.
of little diversions. We both agree Donald Trump's pro-crime. You're just fine with it.
No,
Is that the position?
I don't
That's what you've
agree
said
with
so
your-
far
I
for
don't
about
agree with your
5 minutes.
I don't agree with your definition.
What's
of
your
crime.
definition of crime?
It doesn't
Stomping
matter.
on a police officer's head
No,
is not
what-
a crime.
So I guess this is where I probably would interject is that I like the back and forth earlier with the guy, and this is something that Medhi does a little bit, and Piers Morgan is horrible at. I do wish that he would let the guy flush out the idea to fully attack it, but everything is kind of like in quick back and forths to where neither one of their ideas, and it really ends up just being whoever's on the offensive. It's easy to steer and win the conversation because it's cutting. So you can't really flesh out the full idea. Where I would probably like to hear him explain out how bad of a take he's going to end up going to. Medhi, he understands that he's way more quick-witted than the guy, so he's almost kind of like intellectually bullying him to an extent where, like he understands if I keep recorrecting like the early bad points that he's making, he's not even going to be able to flesh out a thing. But the guy's also looks like he's temperamental and a meathead to where he's attempting to restrain himself. So it's like even more triggering for the guy to where he's flustered. And this is like a bullied box right here. Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's I see what you're saying when you get it all out, and you kind of gotta like take it on the chin. There was another Jubilee with a guy who was pretty much saying what you want. Is a guy named Sam Cedar. He's also a liberal.
Yeah, like
he was on here a couple months ago, and he had facts, but they were railroading him. And I wish he had a little more.
I know exactly what you're talking about. He's with I forget the other, like it's him and a woman. They have their
yeah. It's on the Majority Report.
Yeah. He's more. He allows the interjections to derail him, and he kept getting bounced everywhere. Yeah, and even though like he's like super smart and intellectual, depending on how you view the exchange, a person that was a conservative could be like they won it just because they kept getting him to pivot and go down rabbit holes instead of staying to the actual premise of the conversation.
Yeah.
In which, in this one, Medhi's kind of steering the conversation and bullying the guy at the same time. But I do wish that he would allow him to kind of, fall into his own box.
That's your definition of crime as the Native American.
I am Native American.
If you say so.
So going back to the topic at hand, we have different definitions of crime because you're talking about.
There's a criminal code in this country. It's called the U.S. Criminal Code.
You know what? Let's focus on what we agree on. I'm sure you and I actually agree on a lot.
Do we agree that people shouldn't stomp on police officers' heads? Can we agree on that? If you don't agree on that, then I really think this conversation is kind of
no,
pointless.
because first of all, you're saying what? That the police have the authority, that they're given the authority. I don't accept the authority that's been given by liberal
position. I'm a conservative or pro-police.
Then you don't know what a real. Hey, listen, you're in a room with juggernauts right now. Okay? I'm telling you right now, you are going to be blown open if you think that my
if we're going to struggle with the English language for the next couple of hours, then
what you're up against right now. Okay. 100%. Yeah. Newsflash: the conservatives are liberal to me. Okay. Neocons, libertarians,
he one of the ones.
Mainstream people, there might as well be leftist to me. Okay, Lord. That's how far to the right I am. Do you understand my position?
So when you say, guessed it when you
say, about obeying police, why would I give the authority to police? Do you know here in America?
Do you think Donald Trump should be pardoning 9 members of Congress who committed financial crimes? Are you pro-financial crime? Do you pro-financial crime?
All right,
Thomas Timbo is.
Pause.
I think the people.
Let me give maybe one more of these interchanges,
right.
but
head back to your seat. You've been voted out by the majority.
Nice to meet you.
Immigration will be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, when you finish doing that, pause it real quick.
I'm gonna be as
okay.
I just want to say real quick, and that's what I've been saying since the first Trump election, that the political spectrum has shifted. So everybody that was a regular Republican centrist is now that was a right winger, right? Like a hardcore right winger, right? Are now centrist to the point where they have to redefine what crime is. And then went from Tea Party to Back in the Blue to Fuck the Blue. I'm going to beat up cops. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And we're going to redefine what crime is. It's like when they had the debate with Jubilee debate. Oh, geez, what's that guy's name? Jordan Peterson, where Jordan Peterson versus 28 Piers.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Don't you believe in Christ?" And Jordan Peterson goes, "What is believe? What do you mean by believe?"
Yeah.
What? You don't know what these words mean because these people are complete, and they're all right wingers. These people are completely dishonest. They have a stance, and when you put their feet to the fire, they want to like remix everything, and up is down, right is blue. But yeah, I just wanted to say that before we go to this guy.
Jordan Peterson, he, in my opinion, sometimes he's annoying just because he attempts to overly intellectualize really simple concepts. Exactly. And like he will just get into an etymology game where if we understand what's being said, like we don't have to get into like the essence of a word versus like the literal, pragmatic dictionary definition. And or what is it? That's denotative. Yeah, the denotative definition. Like sometimes Jordan Peterson, like I said, he can just be annoying, especially once he gets into like the religious conversation, primarily because of he just dances around faith inside so many different.
But who said I was religious? Define religion.
What do you mean?
That was his whole thing during the Jubilee.
What do you mean by it happened? Like what the fuck? Come on, bro. Like we just wasting time in this conversation, and that's kind of how it ends up being. I'll push play on these guys.
This is possible, but the truth is your claim is completely bad faith. You do not care about being anti-crime. You yourself are pro-crime. Your side is pro-crime because you're a progressive.
How am I pro-crime?
So I'll give you an example, right? So your side, not Donald Trump, has passed a series of laws in California. Let's go with California. It's where we are right now. It's where I'm from. I don't know. Are you from California?
No, another pivot. Okay.
So in California, for example, the state legislature, completely progressive, just passed a law that limits sex offender registration to 10 years. It was life before. That's pro-crime. The legislature in California, which is progressives again, has passed a law that says the voter-induced 3-strike law is no longer absolute. If someone murders someone, stabs someone on 3 separate occasions, a judge now does not have to give them life. That's a progressive law. That is pro-crime. You support that, don't you?
I actually don't support sex offenders coming off a list. I think they should be on for life.
Okay, so you disagree with progressives.
So hold on. You and I both agree that sex offending is a bad thing, especially child sex offending, right?
It seems like you and I agree on that.
I agree on that.
The legislature of California doesn't.
So I'm not here to debate the legislature of California. I'm here to debate Donald Trump being pro-crime.
But
I'm saying Donald Trump.
See, Medhi did a great job right there, where he tried to get him into like the theoretical line of like, well, you have to represent all things that all liberals have said and done. And so I'm gonna hold your feet to a fire to a belief that you don't even believe in which
it's pretty much guilt by association is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, where you can rope in extremes. Where like, hey, he is actually coming like I don't know the guy's name, but he's coming up to actually defend, in essence, the right. Where Medhi is just giving his own personal opinion, and it was just a smart way to kind of redirect the conversation, in my opinion.
Friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. When Ghislaine Maxwell, who's the worst child sex trafficker of our lifetime, she's serving over 20 years. Do you know Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yeah, she's actually not. Jeffrey Epstein's the worst sex trafficker.
He's dead. I'm talking about people alive right now.
It's interesting, though, you didn't use his name, right? Wouldn't he be the one who did this?
Oh, great. I'm glad you brought up Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, before he died, did an interview with Michael Wolff. He's on tape. I don't know if you heard the tape. He says, my closest friend was Donald Trump. I was his closest friend. Elon Musk, I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He tweeted recently that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files. And Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the right-hand woman of Jeffrey Epstein, when she was on trial for child sex offending, which you and I are opposed to, Donald Trump stood up and said, good luck to her. I wish her well. So, yeah, that makes him pro-crime and pro-criminal if he's...
Yeah, this is a clean box. There's another one. Like, Medhi, yeah, he's probably going, like, a clean sweep on this topic because of just the way that they're approaching it. It's too easy.
There's no ifs on this. Like, this point is, there's no gray area in this point. So for them to be rushing to the chair like that, like he's telling a lie, like I mean, I think they want their little moment, their little YouTube moment or something like that. But you cannot intellectually, politically say his stance is wrong. This is just their chance to try to say, well, we're going to undermine the liberals. That's all that this is. No one is addressing his claim.
Yeah. Or I mean, in their attempts to address it, what they're doing is putting themselves in a situation where you can argue worse for Republicans. And that's kind of like what he's doing right there. Like Medhi, he's smart. So as soon as he brought up sex trafficking, he understood exactly where he was going to go and how to land this and then make it seem or appeal to the actual topic, to the premise of the question, which is Donald Trump is pro-crime and pro-criminal. Like, I don't even know why he would have brought the sex offender thing up, because like that's almost the easiest layup when it comes down to a person making the claim that Donald Trump is pro-crime, pro-criminal.
Yeah, and he's a sex offender himself. He was charged for rape. So, like, you talking about diddling little kids and Epstein and all this other stuff. His name is on the list, on the flight list. He even bought on the plane that Epstein flew around on. He brought Epstein's plane and flew around during his last campaign. It's like Donald Trump does everything. Okay, what is during normal political in a time far away? What do you not supposed to do to sink your political career? And Donald Trump does it everyone, and he's still safe.
Yeah. I think that Donald Trump's an enigma for sure. That is the one thing that you can give him. Like he don't play by the rules, and the rules don't really apply to him in so many funny ways, all the way down to his, like I said, his appeal to a group that he has never represented. And they're die hard for him. Like it's interesting. If we have time, there's a bunch of different versions of MAGA conversations to be had with a lot of the recent developments. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get into it. You push play
on child sex traffickers like Epstein. No, I'm saying he was friends. He was friends with Epstein. You haven't seen the videos? They danced together, partied together. Epstein said I was his closest friend.
He's not supported the pedophilia part. The only people supporting pedophilia
that's not true. Trump gave a speech about 20 years ago where he said Epstein's a great guy. He loves young women. A lot of them are very young. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, laugh, laugh. So yeah, I think he's pro-crime and pro-criminal.
So I think he's soft on sex offenders. Do you have any friends who are criminals?
Not that I know of. Certainly not child sex offenders. No, do you?
No, of course not.
Okay, so we're both in agreement again. So why are you defending Donald Trump?
If it came out tomorrow that one of your friends was a child sex
trafficker, you know what I'd do?
You'd stop being friends with them.
Yes, and I wouldn't say,
and then I'd go on TV and I would say, "Oh, look, Mr. Hasan was friends with this guy 10 years ago. Therefore, he's pro-child sex trafficking." What if Mr. Hasan
said, "I wish them well when they're on trial"? Wouldn't you ever go at me for that?
You wish your friend well on trial?
Yeah, child sex trafficker. Would you be mad?
I wouldn't wish someone well, but that's
Donald
your
Trump
gotcha.
did.
That's your gotcha.
It's a pretty big gotcha.
He wished a friend well.
Pretty big gotcha.
Okay,
he praised
what you're really trying to do right now is you're trying to get back to Donald Trump on a personal level.
Elon Musk says his name.
What's his policy?
Oh, you want to talk policies?
Yes.
So when he left office in 2020, he left behind the highest murder rate for over 100 years.
He left behind the highest murder. Yes. That is the most bad faith claim you could possibly make.
It's a fact from the CDC data.
You know what? Here's why it's bad faith.
Can I finish a sentence and then you can come back in?
You're just lying to people.
Let me read this. It says, according to the Brookings Institute, the murder rate increased 30%. Their analysis found the spike was connected to okay. Well, we can put that to the side. Okay.
Fact from the CDC.
You know what? Here's why it's bad faith.
Can I finish a sentence and then you can come back in?
You're just lying to people. Donald Trump.
I'm lying? Can I finish the sentence?
Donald Trump does not cause the murder rates. Murder is a state level crime.
That's hilarious.
Gavin Newsom is more responsible for the murder rate than Donald Trump is.
That's hilarious. So Donald Trump's not responsible for the murder rate, but other politicians who are Democrats.
Yes, because it's a state level law. That's like saying I'll say Republicans are too. State governors who are soft on crime are the ones that are responsible for murder rates. Let me finish a sentence.
When Donald Trump left office in 2020, between 2019 and 2020, according to data from the CDC, from the FBI, from Pew Research, the 30% increase in the murder rate between 2019 and 2020 was the single biggest jump in the murder rate since 1905.
He's pro-crime
and
pro-criminal. Who's doing the murdering?
The murderers.
So aren't they responsible for the murder rate?
But why did it go up on his watch?
What?
Why did it go up on his watch?
Gee, that's very bad. That's a real hard
at fighting crime.
That's a real hard one to figure out, right? We shut down the whole economy during COVID. We told everyone they couldn't go out unless it was to violently protest. We told people that if a cop tries to arrest you, that cop's probably going to get charged with murder.
No, I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it. But the pandemic didn't finish in 2020.
What?
The pandemic didn't finish in 2020.
Do you ask why the murder rate went up?
And yet, if we're going to play the what about you, you guys blame Joe Biden for crazy.
This is the closest that that Medhi's gotten caught with like a like a good counterpunch, because of what I was going to stop and say was that Medhi's playing like the point that he's making is one of those loose points where yes, it rose during, you know what I mean, what's his name? During Trump's last year in office by 30%, but this is also due to COVID, which is like a very specific circumstance. And
but didn't it say pre-COVID?
No, it said it rose 30%, and the whatchamacallits, according to them, the studies say that it's most likely based around COVID and unemployment during that time. In which, like, to me, if we're having like the fair conversation, you can't, you know, like blame certain things on COVID and then reprieve certain things from COVID. To me, like, on both sides, you have to be able to like say COVID was a specific thing, and if certain things spiked and then went right back down around like 2020, and then he dropped again there in 23, or like it was a massive spike from 2019 to 2020, and COVID is likely the response. I don't really think you should blame that on a specific politician. Like, what's his name? Like Biden, they'll throw like his unemployment numbers in the what is it? The quantitative tightening that happened during his watch, that was based off of like COVID shit, where people kind of had to give out the what is it called? The stimulus checks. Yeah. Which in 3 years it was going to be, you know what I mean, inflation. It just was what it was. That's going to be quantitative tightening because you put so much money into it, but everybody couldn't work. Like, so these are like natural things that if you say somebody effed up the economy, but it's an offspring of a once in a lifetime event, I just think it's just bad faith. And saying that to say, I think Medhi, he was playing on that line and the guy caught him just now. I'm interested to see how he spins out of it. But if the guy wasn't smart and kind of was able to put 2 and 2 together, Medhi still would have just won the point. But yeah, go ahead.
No, but like you probably misheard Medhi. He was basically saying he wasn't blaming COVID on Donald Trump.
He wasn't blaming COVID. He was saying the crime spike happened.
Yeah, the crime spike happened because his whole point he's trying to do, because what Republicans do, right, and conservatives do, what they do, they don't care about the nuance, the reasons why this happened. All they care about the simplicity. Well, it happened under your watch, period. That's it, full stop. We don't care about that. So what he's trying to say is, hey, the crime rate went up, right, during the time of Trump, right? And he said, oh, if it was Biden, you wouldn't care about, oh, well, it was COVID. And so he's trying to say, so Medhi was trying to basically say this point of, well, yeah, that is true. It could be due to COVID. He was fact check or whatever. But he's also saying if when it's Trump, it's okay. But when it's Biden, it's not. So when we were to say, so Trump would take credit for things that, so let's say right now the employment numbers are good like a year into Joe Biden's economy, right? It's presidency. They will still say, oh, it's because of Trump. Like, how is it because of Trump? Oh, because the lie is Trump gave Joe Biden a good economy, which is a lie. But even if that's the case, after a year in, is no longer a domino effect of the Trump presidency. After you like a year or so in or whatever, especially after you did the Build Back Better, you did the Infrastructure Act, you did all types of things. Joe Biden actually put policy in place to make the economy better. You know what I'm saying? Versus Trump, he just gave, again, what he's doing again, just giving money to the tax breaks to the 1%. So I don't think it was a nice counterpunch what Medhi did, but he kind of played possum and snapped back at him, because basically saying like, oh, but if it was Joe Biden, then you didn't care about, oh, it was COVID, it was this and it was that. And pretty much,
I guess what I'm saying, like, so far, I know you've watched it already, so like that's probably where he's about to go. So far, he hasn't landed that point. Okay. And he's probably about to walk there. That's why I said I'm interested to see where he spins out of it, because he also sounds like he was prepared for him to actually counter with it. The guy took a while to actually counter, because at first he was just saying, he was just giving the crime statistic, and the guy kind of didn't have an answer for it. And, you know, Medhi kept pressing him, and it seemed like the guy snapped and realized like, oh damn, that was COVID. I can kind of use that as like a, you know, a rebuttal. And Medhi, I'm gonna take it back like 10 seconds. It seemed like they get into the exact part that you're talking about. I just haven't heard it yet, so that's where I've not been able to kind of make that assertion.
Yeah, take it like about 5 seconds. But remember, at the same time, he's not addressing how Trump is pro-crime. Is again, he's attacking liberals.
Yeah.
Charged with murder.
No, I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it. But the pandemic didn't finish in 2020.
What?
The pandemic didn't finish in 2020.
Do you ask why the murder rate went
and yet,
up?
if we're going to play the what about game, you guys blame
factors.
Joe Biden for crime for years.
What Joe Biden actively induces policies that are pro-crime. I'm asking.
So does Donald Trump. Okay.
Name the policy that's
name one
pro-crime.
right now.
Please, I've asked you for like 10 minutes.
I'll name one right now. No, you haven't actually. You talked about California legislatures. He pardoned violent criminals who then went on to commit other crimes. You don't think releasing violent crimes into the community?
Pardon is a one-time thing. What's his policy he has pushed? Name a law he has signed.
A pardon is a one-time thing. Is a policy is not one-time thing.
That's like Jimmy Carter pardoned the draft.
You guys may want to dodge January 6th, the pardons.
I'm not dodging that.
Did you agree with
I'm going to right now.
Do you agree with
Jimmy Carter pardoned draft dodgers. Does that mean his policy was
I don't support Jimmy Carter. Do you support the pardoning of people who went on to be prosecuted for sexually abusing a 7-year-old child, illegal gun possession, reckless homicide?
Now,
these are people who released from prison.
He didn't pardon someone for sexually abusing a child.
But they went on to be convicted of it.
For rebelling against the government that they believed had rigged elections. That's what he pardoned them for. He didn't pardon them for sexual child abuse.
But they were criminals who committed those crimes. He let them out. So that means the crime rate goes up.
So you say they're criminals because they did the crime, right? Yeah. Would you extend that to illegal immigrants? That they're all criminals because they committed a crime? I have a feeling your position.
The Supreme Court, we're going to talk about immigration.
Someone who's illegally entered the United States, not a criminal, but somebody who illegally entered the Capitol is.
Not according to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
The Supreme Court has said that anyone who enters the United States illegally is not a criminal.
And we can jump to future claims.
Can I get the case site?
We can jump to 20. You want to get the case?
The case site, please. You said the Supreme Court.
The citation of the case.
Yes, that entering the United States illegally is not a crime.
It's called Arizona versus United States 2012. Go look it up.
Pause.
Again, he's prepared, and that's where, that was his best fight so far, though. But I'll still give the edge to our guy, Medhi Hasan. I want to jump towards another one. Donald Trump has defined the Constitution. I feel like that's too easy. I want to hear where they go with this immigration conversation.
The immigration will be a little bit more interesting. Like this one and the other one, it's pretty much a layup. I mean, to me personally, it's all good, but I know you're under time. The immigration one, I think it would be educational, and entertaining at the same time. So yeah, you can start it there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I feel like me and you will probably have some immigration pushback as well.
Yeah.
The clarity you deserve and news you can trust. Go to SAN.supporting trustworthy into it.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, nice to meet you, Daniela. So in regards to your claim, I just want to start by asking this. Do you care more about helping Americans or immigrants in this claim?
Immigrants are Americans. I'm an immigrant and an American.
Well, immigrants are not Americans. Americans are the people that were born here.
That's not true. What's the basis of your claim for that?
Are you talking about people that get naturalized in the process of becoming American?
14th Amendment. Have you read it?
Okay, yes, I have.
Citizenship clause. It says any persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States.
I'm aware of that.
There's about 40 to 50 million naturalized Americans in this country.
Yes, but
you didn't seem aware of it because you said Americans versus immigrants.
So, but are you understanding that the process of getting all these immigrants that come in here we've been also the millions of immigrants, it's up to the millions, it's the last 20 years now, and it has dramatically affected Americans here in the country, which
positively, I would argue.
People like me and everyone around here, we cannot find homes or even get jobs within our own fields that we go to college for, that we get into debt for. And because more blue collar work, especially in construction, agriculture and so forth, and the hospitality industry, we cannot get jobs in those fields. So it requires
Are you looking for a job in construction?
I am not. No, I went to college. Many people here are in college or went to college, but we can't even find jobs in our fields. Also because of the H-1B visa program as well. But in regards to just your claim about immigrants specifically, we cannot even get jobs to pay for housing.
Unemployment is at a record low right now, even under Donald Trump. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but I would say unemployment under both Biden and Trump has been at record low levels.
Okay, is this in regards for American citizens?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm unaware of that statistic, but from what I see, from what
I'm an immigrant and an American, and I employ many American citizens, both naturalized and the ones born here. I employ Americans.
My parents came
Americans as defined by you.
My parents came as immigrants to become naturalized, so I'm not necessarily opposed to immigrants.
So you're the child of immigrants.
Correct. I'm a child of immigrants. I was born
But you don't accept immigrants or Americans.
Not at this moment.
So your parents are not American.
Not at this moment.
No,
they're citizens. They became naturalized.
You just said you can't be citizens by being naturalized.
No, I was born here, and I'm not opposed to naturalization. I never said that I'm against naturalization.
Are you against naturalization?
God damn it. God. Yeah. He definitely caught her. I do agree with the point that you made about him and Piers Morgan. Their interview styles are kind of annoying a little bit to me, just because they don't. And well, shit, I actually just talked about this. I guess I don't need to overly rehash it. But generally speaking, I do wish that both of them, when they have conversations, that they allow the person to kind of flesh out ideas more than just like two sentences. But
is it safe to say that enjoy that start off on a false premise that he should stop you right there? So if she's saying that, oh, you're not like the guy in the vomit green shirt, you're not an American and you're this, that, and you have them flush out their point, is under when you're doing it, is you doing it under false pretenses.
Right, and I understand what you're saying. I think that like it's always this interesting battle because I also think that there's times when it is really, really necessary. Like if a person consistently overly loads questions with bad intuition, I do think that there's a point where you have to stop them, because if not, they're just kind of like snowballing a bunch of false things, and then you're going to have to try and remember to answer a bunch of different things. And this is where, like, maybe like if you have like a notepad or like I'm at a computer, so I can just write down.
That's true. That's true. I do that. I usually write it down. Yeah.
Because like a lot of times, and like we kind of have conversations inside a different format, where like a person is given like a minute or something like that, and then like we'll try and respond inside that capacity. With like right here, it's more conversational, and if you're having a conversation with somebody, you kind of like, we all kind of understand the idea of sometimes you could jump in, but sometimes you got to let them get some of the the dumb shit that they about to say off, just so that it's an actual back and forth a little bit. But yeah,
I got you. It's just that if I was him, me personally, I think that was a good pushback, because it goes to show her that she's very ignorant and don't understand what an American citizen is. And he's
we put her in a box.
Fifth grade level civic lesson on what an American citizen is, was making her look stupid. And I kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? Push back when it's necessary. Then let her go. That's just me.
Yeah, and so right now his strategy is working. Like he's dominating this entire thing. Just based off, because he's quick-witted as well. Like he's quick-witted. He's like, you could tell he's a professional journalist and a talking head that gets paid to talk. And he's going against a couple people that just aren't really prepared. Like he does this, and this is why like I enjoy him and Piers Morgan actually having conversations, because they deploy so many of the same techniques that like he's somebody that could just steamroll through like the Piers Morgan BS and then really catch Piers Morgan up. But it's because they use the exact same tactic. Like Piers, he'll spin people just off of like him interrupting their train of thought to give like a BS redirect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It must be an English thing.
Actually, I imagine it probably. I can imagine that because they're both British, and they have a very similar interview style. I ain't really put two and two together, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No, I never said it was against
you
naturalization.
Did. You began. You're very. Everyone was here. They can play it back on YouTube.
Look at the flags going up. God damn.
Yep.
And yeah, like she's just like making such a like her like what is it, like a house of cards? Like the claim she made just failed so quickly because of she doesn't really have too much to stand on if her parents are literally quote unquote Medhi Hasan.
Exactly.
And now you're one generation removed, but now you're saying also no, immigration shouldn't, it shouldn't be a thing.
Then retract that statement back and say, well, I'm also a child of an immigrant, but forget about that.
Yeah, like there is a better way to push it, in which like for me, like I'm not anti-immigration, but I do think that there's benefits to making being very stringent about the process, who gets in, the amount, because of I think that an influx can hurt. But I'm not like somebody that's saying like we should cut and dry, like all immigrants shouldn't come in.
So my question,
there's nuances in there. Go ahead.
My question to that: how would I guess there's many ways that immigrants come in. You got the legal way, you have other ways, but
yeah, I ain't wrong with illegals. If it's illegal, we can, you know what I mean.
Okay, so that not saying that you are, because I know you're not a conservative, but that's a conservative viewpoint. So we
I have some liberals, some conservatives, some like libertarian POVs.
So we know
closer to conservative.
If you were to remove, so if you're doing a mass deportation, as everyone's been saying during the campaign, hurts the economy because undocumented immigrants, if you like it or not, are a part of the American workforce. I think they contribute. Don't you can fact check me on the numbers, but they contribute like a couple $100 million to the economy and to the workforce, right? So if you remove those people from the workforce, you're going to have this vacuum. You're going to have production. So even to the point where Donald Trump finally had to concede because he had a farmer that went to him and say, hey, look, I have some undocumented workers. They've been working with me for 4 or 5 years. Very, very good people. They help me out. They contribute a lot. They don't get in trouble. They don't commit any crimes. If I do that, I would hurt. Then you have other farmers, I think like Christy Nome, that said the same thing, that they also hired undocumented workers. So they all know this. So Donald Trump would say, okay. Now I'm gonna let all of documented workers that are quote unquote good people, which you were supposed to do in the first place. But if you're good and you work on a farm, I'll lay off of you. Only because a rich person said it. So and to land my plane. So if we know undocumented workers contribute to society, 400 something million dollars in tax revenue and things of that nature. If saying there's a large influx is hurting is not necessarily true when we talk about the financially speaking, it doesn't. So then it becomes more of a cultural thing and a cultural issue rather than a financial issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't put my claim like solely on like it's hurting. Well, I guess I wouldn't even make the claim that undocumented workers are hurting the American economy. I wouldn't make that claim at all. I think that them and their taxes that they're going to be paying in general is going to help the economy, if anything. And again, they're going to help capitalism because they are the quote unquote slave labor workforce that's going to work in exorbitant under the table hours for less than what you can actually legally pay people, and they have to do it because they're illegal. Like this is like a perfect capitalistic trade-off. And I get that and I understand that. Like for me, I think that my hedge is a little bit more in the sense of like being a part of a minority group whose power is, in my opinion, like it's getting I wouldn't like there's parts of the power that is starting to dwindle, and some of that is just due to velocity, in which like becoming like the second largest minority to the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, just in sheer number and voting power, like that starts to change impact wise. As well, right now, how the American system is set up is that a lot of, again, undocumented people and a lot of like lower socioeconomic people tend to be inside very similar areas, and they're competing for similar resources at times. And within that, we kind of all under like we don't have to go down like the line of breaking down why Black people have they represent a decent pool of people that are pushed into these lower socioeconomic places and spaces, but it does exist. And so I think that the influx of more coming in, and if it's like if we're saying, and I don't want to quote like Trump numbers, but if we're saying that even more isn't, even if we're not even talking about like kicking out who's already here, but if we're saying like every year there's 2 million more coming, 2 million more, 2 million more, 2 million more, eventually like it's easy to see how like you what's the hourglass when you see the grains of salt just keep coming, eventually that it starts up. And that's how I look at it, where like I do think that eventually it's necessary to put restrictions. I'm not anti-immigration, but I do think that you should be able to control the flow. It shouldn't be an open faucet.
I think this would be a good. I mean, not to venture off, but I think this would be for future to have a conversation about. Not saying that's what you're saying, but it could go as far as that, as far as like replacement theory. So there, as far as like
that is the Black version of the replacement theory. I understand what you're saying. Like a lot of people associate replacement theory with they will not replace us to tiki towards whites. And I've kind of had like a piece of an idea to have like an unpacked around this in general. But that is what a lot of Black people are expressing is a version of replacement theory. And it's the idea of like the minority status and power that Black people have levied in America is starting to be replaced. And this is where you see all the conspiracies of like the undocumented voters or undocumented.
Well, I wouldn't use the word replace. Personally, I would say dwindling, because replacement means I'm swapping something out. Black people, no one's kidnapping Black people and disappearing Black people. So if you bring in more people in and Black Americans were the number one minority, then it's going to get watered down. You're no longer the number one minority. But specifically, I want to use the word replacement. I don't want to go into a different rabbit hole about that. That would be a very good conversation, though. Yeah,
I don't think that we're disagreeing. Like the theory is called the replacement theory, but like if we was to like get into the weeds, we wouldn't specifically be talking about literally replacement. All right. Nonetheless, that's one of our quick tangents. Let me push play on here and finish watching this FW. Well, she's not a real FWA.
No, she's not.
Watching this second generation get put in the box. This is an Amazon box right here. Yeah.
Yep.
Good duct tape.
You said Americans or immigrants. Are your parents Americans or immigrants?
No, my parents are United States citizens.
But they're immigrants, you said.
No, they came here as immigrants. However, but
so
I want to make the claim that we cannot.
I came here as an immigrant. I'm an immigrant.
But at this point, when they came, the United
People
States
aren't happy
economy,
with the way this is going for you.
The United States economy was not at.
It's better now. The American economy is better than it's been for many years. And I can say that as someone who doesn't like Donald Trump.
We're giving millions and billions of dollars to people of minorities as well as
the reason the economy is doing badly now is because Donald Trump's tariff policy. Nothing to do with migrants. In fact, the congressional.
We can't even start businesses.
I'm an immigrant. I started a business.
I understand because the SBA is giving people billions of loans.
I didn't take any loans.
They're giving them billions.
I didn't take any loans.
I'm not saying you did, but I'm saying that statistically speaking, they're giving billions of loans.
So should we do statistics? According to statistics, immigrants are 80% more likely to be entrepreneurs than native-born Americans.
Sure,
are more likely to start businesses and hire Americans.
An MIT study found that immigrants are okay. That's an interesting stat.
So 80% more likely to be entrepreneurs than native-born Americans. Are more likely to start businesses and hire Americans.
No, I'm aware of that.
Immigrants are more likely to pay in taxes than take out in benefits. They're more likely to add to innovation and jobs and wages. This is what the statistics show. The Congressional Budget Office. Let me just finish my point and let you come back in. The Congressional Budget Office, which is bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats both use it. They have said that the immigration surge that you mentioned will lead to an extra $9 trillion of GDP over the next 10 years. That amounts to $65,000 per American household. That's $65,000 for each and every one of you holding up a red flag.
Okay, I understand.
Got him. Got him.
Nah. Like Medhi is sharp. I wish that they had loaded this with way better. Like he needs the Charlie Kirks up there. Like some of those guys, like the I'm trying to think of like another really solid
Ben Shapiro.
Like a Ben Shapiro. Like he needs some of those guys, some of the very notable Matt Walsh, even if you wanted to go like that route. Like just some people that are way more prepared, because of right now it's like he's swimming in the kiddie pool. It's too ezy. Like
I would be curious to know how they would navigate around this issue, because he's cutting them with facts.
Yeah, well, he is. I think that he you can tell that he's a broadcaster because of, and the fact checks, like he's almost like 100% to what, like exactly what he's saying, but he already has his loaded. Like he don't really have like a bunch of notes sitting there. Well, I guess he does have a paper, so he might have like certain points that he wants to make sure that he references properly, but generally speaking, like he's sharp, and he also can dominate a conversation. And so like this is what I was saying earlier. Like he's kind of intellectually bullying them also. So like he's smacking them with facts, and then he's chopping them at every little like quick little insertion where he can get in.
And I love it. It's intellectual sparring. This is what it is. Political debates. And
this isn't sparring. This is like a punching bag and Mike Tyson hitting it right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be like a back and forth for it to be a spar. This is right now.
That's true.
This specifically was like when they be doing this.
Yeah, speed bag.
The speed. Yeah, this was a speed bag right here for sure. Let me keep going.
Oz, you've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
They didn't want to clap. Yeah, my dog's sprinting.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Medhi.
What's going on, man? Nice to meet you. All right, so first before I start, I need to know what you mean by good. I can talk about the economy, I can talk about culture, I can talk about all those things. I need to know what you mean.
My dog is about to say roll tide. Now he looked like that's Texas on his hat, so he's for sure.
Good old boy.
He's Longhorns. He want to throw up the horns, but he has college frat boy written all over him.
Yep.
And he nibbling at the bits too. He looked like he
I need to know what you mean by good. I can talk about the economy, I can talk about culture, I can talk about all those things. I need to know what you mean.
All of them.
I'm
saying immigrants are good for the economy.
White.
They're good for culture.
Wages are
they're
good
for
the
society. Where's the lower wages?
What do you mean? Where's the lower wages?
Where are the lower wages?
Yeah, so you can
What's the basis for saying they're lower wages?
Sure, so you can look at like the STEM industry. It's been in like a complete and total recession. There's been tons of studies like from the Economic Policy Institute that shows that like companies like Tesla, companies from like Silicon Valley, they engaged in mass firing of workers around 35,000, but then they hired around 12,000 H-1B visas, and it's kind of just standard economic thinking.
It's not standard economic thinking. The vast majority of economists and economic studies suggest that there is a negligible, if no impact on wages over time.
That's not
from immigrants. In fact, your colleague mentioned earlier, construction, there is actually evidence in construction, yes. But in some industries, in some areas, there is an impact. But overall, no. In fact, a study from the National...
let me hear him land, because I do agree with where our good rifle rack Texan is saying, at least on that point. When it comes down to, especially in STEM, where this is almost like a part of the whole Vivek falling out, and why Elon Musk was heavy on making sure he had the H1s as well, where to an extent, like they're almost like putting these visas, putting these guys in contracts to where they can't leave the company and they have to work like these crazy hours and shit like that, even inside like these STEM contracts, where with an American citizen, they don't have the same version of leverage. And so for them, like you seen with Elon, like he'll fire a bunch of Americans and bring in a bunch of the H1s. So I don't disagree with what I got right here.
National Bureau of Economic Research found that migrants since 1965 have raised wages and raised innovation.
Who's that by?
National Bureau for Economic Research.
No, hold on. That's where you publish studies. I'm asking.
Yes, I didn't memorize the names of the authors.
Yeah, I know you didn't. Right?
Can you give me the authors you've got?
Yeah, hold on. The study you're talking about is from Giovanni Perry, and what he did is he didn't account for aggregation issues.
We got one here. All right.
Let me speak, please.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. This is what I was waiting for right here. All right, chat. I think we got a solid back and forth right here. He's brought up two solid points, and he seems fairly well researched. And he's also put the stake in the ground where, hey, let me get my point out. Let me flesh it out and we can have a real debate. I'm gonna take it back 10 seconds. Now I'm getting excited. This is what I was waiting for. It's been kind of like bullying prior to this, but it looks like we're about to get a good back and forth now.
Thank you, right? Yeah, I know you did, right?
Can you give me the authors you've got?
Yeah, hold on. The study you're talking about is from Giovanni Perry, and what he did is he didn't account for aggregation issues, nor did
the vast majority of studies.
Let me speak,
please.
Yeah, thank you, right? So listen, he didn't account for aggregation issues, right? And when you look at like the spatial approaches, what all these economists use, you're not accounting for the fact that when immigrants come into an area, natives leave. If you look at an occupational approach where you look at the specific firms that immigration is going into, like Kim ETAL 2013 did, you find a net negative impact when there's a 10% increase of immigration. You find around a 0.5% decline in wages when it comes to the specific occupations they're going to.
So
all
your
studies are flawed.
Okay.
5%.
Okay.
Weigh that up against what I just mentioned from the Congressional Budget Office, which is a massive boost in GDP per head, which you're not counting for. Massive increase in tax revenue. Immigrants actually funding the deficits.
Let me take that back.
Weigh that up against what I just mentioned from the Congressional Budget Office, which is a massive boost in GDP per head, which you're not counting for. Massive increase in tax revenue. Immigrants actually funding funding the deficits and debts by paying way more in taxes proportionately into the undocumented immigrants. And what's interesting about wages is I'm in a room full of, I don't know what to call you anymore, conservatives, Republicans, fascists, I don't know. One of you has proudly said that. One of us proudly. Oh, yeah, correct. I'm in a room full of correct people. But do any of you actually care about wages?
Yeah, I actually do. For example,
on fast forwarding, you missed a guy. I think we missed it, that he said that he is a fascist and he's proud of it.
Oh yeah, I seen that on like the intro part.
Yeah,
he
was all over the place. He said he's a proud fascist.
If you remember what he looks like,
not that guy. Yes, the guy in the black. You got to go back. No, go. I don't know if you went for him.
Okay. All right.
He was a doozy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So when Medhi said, I don't know if I'm around a bunch of fascists, Republicans, whatever, he said he's a fascist. He's proud of it.
Okay. All right. After this,
he loves Hitler.
Go back to that.
Him and Kanye West look like, they go to the same bar and chill. He loves Hitler, all that shit.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's push play.
Minimum wage.
Absolutely.
Chuck, I'm gonna get to your comment.
When you bring all these people coming into
that's not the reason the Republican Party blocks the minimum wage. You think Republican politicians don't vote for an increase in minimum wage because they're worried about immigration?
Did I say I voted Republican? Did I say I voted Republican?
Well, I'm in a show that was called 25 Far-Right Republicans.
That doesn't mean I'm going to support every single Republican candidate.
So you and I, let's agree. We both support the minimum wage. $7.25 since 2009. It's lost 30% of its value. If you care about wages, we should be raising the minimum wage in this country, not scapegoating migrants who aren't the cause of low wages in the country. You know who's causing low wages? Billionaires, millionaires, and people who won't pay fair wages to their wages, regardless of whether you are an immigrant or a native.
I get the monologue right now. Let me respond.
You had one. With your one study that had a 0.5% impact. Go.
Yeah, and your study sucked that you didn't even know who wrote it, right? So let's get back to the point, right?
Because I don't need to.
There it goes again.
The majority of studies say that wages are not impacted.
The majority of your studies are flawed. That's what I'm telling you.
My studies. Neither of us are economists. It's the economist studies.
Don't assume who I am.
Are you an economist?
I could be.
But are you?
I could be.
Are you?
I'm not going to tell you.
Are you?
I'm going to major in economics, right?
Are you an economist?
No, not right now.
Okay, so when I said neither is economist, I was correct.
Just don't assume.
To use your favorite word.
See here, dude, this is nothing of substance. You look at the red flags; they're coming up. Let me get to the point.
But
so when you talk about the CBO, one thing you're not accounting for here is that they're assuming an equilibrium, right? Do you know what that means? You shouldn't make these type of assumptions. You said earlier that unemployment.
Do I know what it means? I thought we're not doing assumptions.
Okay, hold on. You mentioned we were at 4.2% unemployment. Yeah, that's counting people who have part-time jobs. That's counting poverty wages. Yeah,
I'm against poverty wages.
You won't let me again. Yes, if you go to the Logood Institute, they calculated a way where it's functional unemployment. Okay, if you account for things like just people who make around $25,000 a year, people who have fallen out of the labor market, people who only work part-time. If you count all of those people together, and then add on the unemployment, that's around 25% of the population. So when you go, we don't have jobs, we don't have people to do this, and that, and the other. No, yes, we do. Okay, we don't have a labor shortage. We have a good job shortage. And when you keep bringing these people in, and they're taking those jobs.
The good job shortage is the fault of big firms, employers. I'm an employer. I can say that.
Who hires the immigrants?
Who hires the immigrants?
Yeah.
Employers.
Exactly. So when you bring up these big firms,
so
that's the way that keep wages down. You understand that, right?
It's cyclical. Yeah. We're there. There's a cyclical.
Immigrants coming in tomorrow. Moratorium. You think that Republicans and employers of big firms just suddenly raise all the wages?
You notice that's how you didn't answer what I said. You notice how you believe. It was a complete your ankles.
That's what you believe.
Can you pause it real quick?
Is that what you?
Because this is good. They got into a cyclical spot. Go ahead. I'm listening.
But that's a good point, because that's the conservative ideology or replacement theory. They think oh wow, because all these immigrants are here, right? And big corporations, because they have no real representation, they can pay them at a lower wage. So if we get rid of all of the immigrants, then all of a sudden, out the kindness of their hearts, big corporations who set the minimum wage and how much they're going to pay, they're going to start paying everybody a fair wage. That's just simply not true. And
right, but I guess to where you're at, and this is where I was saying it's becoming the conversation cyclical, because of reality would also be that in essence, I think he's making the appeal that it's the capitalistic approach that we kind of talked about earlier, where if they can do it, companies are going to exploit a quote unquote a slave class of people and pay them as little as they can. And this goes all the way to why the agricultural, giants lobbied to Trump and said, "Hey, we got to keep some of these Hispanics here because if not, you cutting into like our money, and we paid for you to get into into the presidency pretty much." In which the thing is, like, can they? Yes. Will they? No. Especially if there is a mass amount of people that can be exploited, in which with immigration, it leaves a group that has no choice but to be exploited. In which, like, I understand what you're saying, which is just because of, like, if you mass deport all of them right now, does that mean that they're going to raise the price of picking corn, let's say corn, in fields in the hot summer? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Because again, we understand how it works. Maybe they'll find like some machines to do it or some shit like that. But to me, in general, when you look at the scope of the whole conversation, it's kind of like wherever you want to start the conversation, one's the antecedent of the other. Like a influx of exploitable working class leads to exploitation through capitalism. And then getting rid of the exploitation through capitalism is going to be hard because of the power that capitalism has in our government.
Well, my pushback would be where there's jobs that are, even when they pay the wage for it, say they'll pay. I've seen jobs and I've seen stories where they're paying just above minimum wage and people still wouldn't work there. 1, 2, when it comes to the raise. So if in this conservative reality that this would happen, right? Okay, they're all gone now. There's only quote unquote real Americans here, right? Okay, cool. So this means that you're going to pay us a fair wage. We all know, remember, they're undocumented. So already this doesn't really make any sense because they don't have a W-4. You know what I'm saying? They're not filling out an I-9. So I'm saying that to say every time.
But that's why they're getting exploited.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the conservative reality that we're in. I want to, do that. We all know that conservatives always block bills to raise the minimum wage. Right? Corporations will always block bills to raise the minimum wage. For the working American people, not for migrants, for working American people. Like I remember so we all know that in inflation and salary has not kept up at all. That has nothing to do with migrants. Now, understand if your point is like, you know what, that may make it a little bit more strenuous on the system and blah, 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 blah. And they got all these on cheap labor, but that is not the catalyst as of to why quote unquote real Americans aren't doing these jobs. Again, I've seen even like a couple of months ago, there was paying like for blueberries. I think we were paying like $15-16 an hour to pick blueberries. The vacancy still open, so it's not like say, "Oh, you want me to pay $5 an hour to pick blueberries?" No, I'm paying you $15-16 to do it. I wish I had the article so I could show you, and no one wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it has to do with like, hey, look, I'm an educated American, right? Or I have a high school diploma, or I have some of a bachelor's degree. If I'm gonna do this, you're gonna have to pay me somewhat of a living wage. Even though $15-16 an hour is a good wage for picking on blueberries, but that's not a living wage. So it's the system in itself. So that's why I get back to my Bernie Sanders progressive thing, where that you have to pay people a living wage. As long as people are not getting paid a living wage, people are always going to be exploited.
No, I get you. I understand. Like I definitely understand the point that you're making, and don't disagree with it. What I think that a lot of the argument to why it's taking so long for like the Bernie Sanders of the world to get the legislation and a push to raise the minimum wage in the ways, well, I mean, outside of just how inflation works and it pushing everything upward, would be that it's a bit of the drag on it does come from the exploited labor class, in which right now, even if you go undocumented to like freshly newly documented, you have a class of people who aren't American, because like the issue is that going to a part of like a point that you were just making, right, like Americans, let's just say naturalized. Yeah, not naturalized, but Americans that were born in America, right? Like people that are like that are from here. They're not specifically willing to go out and do field labor for $15 an hour. It's not worth it because it's not a livable wage. And like they've grown up inside like the society in which like it just doesn't make sense to do that, right? In comparison, like you bring in a group of people that for them this is a come up, it makes it way easier to keep the minimum wage at that spot because of the job vacancy is going to consistently get filled as long as like these people are continually coming in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No. I totally get you. But again, my
cycle of it is good.
Yeah, my point is, as long as people aren't paid a living wage, then this will always be a problem because we're getting paid based upon the merit of our skills and our education and our experience. Then that will be fair. But in a capitalist society, that's not how it works. So I mean,
the argument is that like a big part of that is because of the exploited like immigrant class, whether they're here legally or illegally, those jobs are getting filled, which is keeping it to where that is a necessity to push the minimum wage up because of
the argument here is, so if you get rid of all the immigrants, how is gonna be pushed the minimum wage? How from that point on everything is just going to be like the guy in the pink saying, the frat boy saying, oh, okay, you get rid of all the immigrants, all of a sudden minimum wage is $25 an hour. Like what?
Well, I think that like
is how's that going to work?
Like in the like the hypothetical, because like we understand like getting all immigrants out, just like it's not like realistic per se. But if we just go to the appeal of the hypothetical, I think that would be the time that you would adjust to the mean when it comes down to a livable wage, because of like you're going to get a lot less. All right, so for example, like when you look at fast food, like they had a time hiring people during COVID. Because of at that time, people were kind of like making enough to get by off of STEMIs and unemployment and like all the different little things, right? And what has happened because of that? At least where like around where I'm at, like it went from, let's say Chick-fil-A. We'll go with Chick-fil-A that's around the corner, or Taco Bell. Let's say Taco Bell. Taco Bell at one point was $8 an hour. I think that before the pandemic, they might have been at like $11 an hour or something like that. Post-pandemic, they bumped up to about like they advertised for like $16 an hour. And you know what I mean? Like if you stay here for X amount, it's 18, 19. It's like a natural bump inside the livable wage because people refuse to do the job unless, and the reality is that with like these corporate industries, the people like the billionaire corporate owners, like they have a huge profit margin. They just don't care to cut into it. So they could raise it. It's just not incentivized because of capitalism wants you to get as low, like you know what I mean, pay out as low as possible and bring in as much as possible. And as long as there's like a group that is willing to be exploited, it's just going to drag, in my opinion.
Well, okay. No, I think we agree, but I think we kind of differ on in this scenario where if you get rid of immigrants, that will incentivize big corporations to raise the minimum wage. And
well, I just think that they'll have to pay more. Like it's not even like legally if they'll have to pay the minimum wage. I think that to get the job filled, unless there's already a version of automation that's ready for it, and like if we're just saying a physical labor industry, they have to fill the job. So eventually, like basic economics, supply and demand, what the actual demand for that job is, they're going to have to pay the minimum for it. And that if that ends up being a living wage, I think that's what it'll end up being.
Yeah. All right. We could go back and forth because I agree, but there's certain things I don't.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's the secular nation. Really, it's it's the same thing that they doing right here. Yeah. All right. I'll put it.
Okay.
Do you believe that wages? I'm just wondering how naive you are. You believe that the 1% will raise wages and the federal wage if we stop immigration?
They will be forced to. When you increase labor's relationship to capital, okay, and you give labor more bargaining power because you're tightening the supply of labor.
This is a very simplistic understanding of economics because you're
explain I'm wrong.
I'm telling you how you're wrong. Because you're ignoring the fact that when immigrants come into an area, they spend money. They create jobs.
About 1/5 of their monthly income leaves the country.
That's a good thing also because you don't like USA foreign aid. So this is the point. They create jobs. I came into this country. So far, every one of my assumptions about you has been correct. But listen to me. I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like. I should get the hell out.
Yes.
Why?
I don't want you here.
Why?
Because you come here and say all this bullshit about how Americans
are
lazy.
FWA!
I never said Americans.
I don't know why you say this.
I never said Americans.
Yes,
are
you are.
lazy.
You're saying immigrants have to come into this country so they can do jobs that we don't want to do. That's exactly what you said.
When did I say?
Oh, really?
When did I say? Guys watching on YouTube, rewind to the time where I said immigrants are doing jobs we don't want to do. When did I say those words? Words that came out of my mouth.
Okay, so why do we have to bring in immigrants? Why do we have to bring in immigrants to the country if we have people who are going to do the jobs?
Man, my dog was doing well until he told him get the hell out.
Because we checkmated him on his point. So I think it was kind of like the back and forth.
I think that he triggered him enough. You said what?
No, I'm saying, but it was pretty much similar to the conversation you and I were having, right?
Yeah.
But we're respectful. You know what I'm saying? So instead of him, because the same question, I'm Medhi and you're the guy in the pink, and he, you know what I'm saying, and I'm like, okay, how would that happen if you get rid of all the immigrants? How would corporations do that? And I think Medhi's answer was not really, I shouldn't say honest, but he's saying, well, okay, immigrants already contribute to America's economy. We know that already. But the guy in the pink had to prove that, okay, once this happens and all of a sudden, corporations like, you know what? There's real true blood. It's not going to happen because so use the pandemic. During the pandemic and even during the time of Obama when he was giving the bailouts, all corporations they did stock buybacks to inflate their stocks. Mm-hmm. So this whole trickle down economics and we're gonna give the everyday man a fighting chance because it's hard out there. Why would a billionaires care about regular average people? They don't. That's to me. Right, that's what I want to know.
But I think that both sides is kind of like speaking to trying to find a solution for that same problem. I think that even if you go with like the pink shirt, or like my opinion on it would be like a billionaire will only be forced to have to pay you more. And like however that force is, like with him, it's the appeal to the idea of supply and demand, like economic theory, where like if there is a shortage inside the labor force, but the labor is needed inside like a dire circumstance, you're going to pay what it costs, right? And like I understand what you're saying, like without legislation and need, I don't know, like I guess like I understand it. It's hard for me to like agree with it because I guess like for me, if we're thinking about like corporate like the corporate giants, like to me it's hard to imagine them budging outside of it having to be something that's pushed by like the people.
Exactly.
Like I don't think that like they lobby too much for legislation to actually be something that's going to be pushed, that's going to push minimum wage to a living wage, which shit, you almost got to be at like $25 an hour. And that's where like my appeal is that only way that happens is whether it's let's take away the idea of immigration. Let's just say that people came together and band together and say we're not working for less than livable wage, right? Okay. Like even if the undocumented whoever, like they couldn't find an exploited class, that to me, like that's the way that I see it. If there's going to be a way it happening, and that's more or less what I'm saying. If we even if we surf the idea of just like immigrant class and just go with like an exploited class,
yeah, that's because the immigrant class is more exploitable than an American who has rights. So
and that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Steve, I agree that there's also like the fact, well, I think that like I get where you're at, America does have a population shortage when it comes down to like manual labor, but I think that's only at the moment. I think in the next 10 years, so much of that's going to change in general anyway. Where like it's a fading issue. But yeah, I don't know. I guess if you want, we could hop to this to the guy in the blue that you said turned up on fascism.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Kanye's friend.
Hey, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the guys.
Yeah, shout out to Chuck Wu, Steve, Juana. Shout out to all y'all.
Shout out to the guys.
That should seek to serve us. And when it fails to seek to serve.
My next claim is that Donald Trump is defying the Constitution. Nice to meet
pleasure
you.
to meet you, sir.
Medhi, lovely to meet you.
So I would say that with Trump being anti-Constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frankly.
Okay.
Because in regards...
But he's not even... I guess that's weird because like they come up there really just to get their shit off. They don't even be like arguing the point because he's like, I don't care about the point. I just want to get my shit off. That's pretty much what he just said.
It could be that too, but you have to understand, Trump is not... Again, these are Tea Party people. I back the blue. I'm a constitutionalist. But when it comes time to adhere to all the things that they said, because it doesn't favor them, oh, fuck it. I don't care what that is. There are Republicans that feel that way. Even though they're trying to get their shit off or whatever, they're trying to have their little TikTok moment or whatever, but it's also true that they have this sentiment. You'll see. You'll see.
Okay. All right, let me push play.
In regards to the Constitution is a document that should seek to serve us. Yes. And when it fails to seek to serve us, that can be amended. Laws can be changed. And quite frankly, the fact is we're defending things in this country that shouldn't be defended. The First Amendment should not defend pornography and making children and women be victimized. Making women and children be victimized as a result of that. I think things like blasphemy shouldn't be allowed per the First Amendment. I think that quite frankly, there are a lot of legal processes that are enabled.
Yeah, he trying to be inside a real fascist authoritarian society. You cannot speak down on Xi Jinping. Oh, however you say his name.
Criminals and bad people to fully enact their will in this country in the name of the Constitution or following the Constitution. So,
Xi Jinping,
quite frankly, if Trump is anti-Constitution, good, and I think he should go further.
So this is wonderfully revealing of the modern conservative mindset. I appreciate you spelling it out so openly. Just checking, do you support the Second Amendment?
I do.
Okay. Surprise. I was shocked to hear that. I'm saying that Donald Trump is defying the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. He's thinking of defying the 12th and 22nd Amendments. You're saying you don't care about the Constitution, but actually you do because you quite like the Second Amendment. You just don't like the bits that you disagree with. Can I just be clear on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to amend it and
whenever it's in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can Democrats do the same when they're in office?
No, absolutely not. Because
so you don't believe in democracy?
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
By who?
Honestly, quite frankly, anyone who is in line with Catholic teaching.
Donald Trump is not Catholic.
Christian nationalist.
I completely agree.
So like these they got some of the good tiki torches, like the tiki torch whites. Yeah, they got some of them. Yeah, he's one.
He's a fascist Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
Support Trump? You don't support Trump?
No, I don't. I didn't even vote for him. I wrote in like John Pork or someone. I can't even remember.
Why did you vote if you don't believe in democracy and you want autocracy?
Well, because quite frankly, I voted. I kind of voted just to.
I came with this argument, but I'm bored of my own argument. I'm much more interested in this. So
yeah, absolutely.
How do we get to an autocracy?
I think, quite frankly, that if we are able to enact local leaders,
who is the we, by the way?
I think, quite frankly, these far right conservatives sitting right around
white people.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
So,
well, actually,
you guys,
you got to look at who's the ones that's clapping when he said white people. Those are real good old boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
No
absolutely.
So,
well, actually, I have quite.
Yeah, green shirt, the Hulk, like you. Yeah, you could tell.
Usual suspects.
Yeah.
Some of the people in this room don't make the cut from what I can see visually.
Actually, hold on for a moment. I do think that there are people who happen to not be white who do actually have history in this country and have roots in this country. For instance, from the Mexican-American War, we subsumed a lot of territory of people who have far stakes in this country who happen to be Hispanic or what have you. I'm for defending the traditional demographics of this country, which is majority white, and should stay that way.
How does the United States... I mean, we've gone so off topic, but how does the United States look like under you? Sorry, what's your name?
My name is, my name's Connor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Took a little bit of a doubt there.
Oh, well, I use a pseudonym online.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look like?
Well, quite frankly, I think we would deport people who shouldn't be here.
No, I didn't ask about deporting. What does the government look like?
What does the government look like?
Yeah.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
Where does he
Franco.
come from?
It could be a kind of aristocratic class. Could be someone
who picks the autocrat?
Frankly, the people. I mean, we could hold a vote on it. Kings were
isn't that democracy?
Well, sure.
Exactly.
You can have a vote to get to that stage.
Good Lord.
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
But like this be like some of the nasty work that happens is that like people only support democracy if they're winning.
Exactly.
And like you hear it on every side, and it's just like it makes for very boring conversations. And like for him, he wants to like pretty much a dictator when they're in power, but you know what I mean, the nuances of whatever that dictator does, he wants that to work out through democracy. But as long as it's anything but the left, he's cool with it, and they can stay. And I like you know what I mean, it's kind of that whole tribal demonize the other side whole little thing, and the left and the right play so deep into it to where I don't know. It's hard to imagine like an American political system inside the next 5 to 6, maybe 10 years that is engaging in actual realistic thought and like real. Let me see how I can frame this. Where real genuine thought and conversation. I was matter of fact, I was watching. I don't know if y'all guys might not know him, but it was Destiny, and he was having like a long form.
Yeah, I know Destiny.
He was having a long form conversation with like a conservative, and they was kind of talking about how, generally speaking, like so much of the noise that's online are like these like the far fringes of the groups, but the issue is that the centrists of the groups aren't willing to have like fair conversations to bring, whether if you're on the left, like because of the right is demonized, like you're not even considering attempting to bring over like centrist right people that like y'all actually align so somewhat, right? Like the Overton window on what conservative and liberal has pushed so far over, like more so like instead of like being like, hey, them progressives is wilding the fuck out. Like it's probably only it's only two genders, right? Like just simple shit like that. They will placate to some of that instead of like a conservative where you might disagree on like abortion or something like that. But y'all both agree on Medicaid and that shit makes sense, right? And like that's a common ground to where you can actually build. Like we will play the tribal game. And nobody wins in that, and you end up inside this whole scenario. And again, like this isn't just liberals. Conservatives do the exact same game plan as well, where there's mad liberal policy that they agree with and they love, especially if they lean libertarian. But because of like the far left has like gender issues and shit like that, they will vote no on every single policy. And like I said, I think that this like a part of what the dude in the blue shirt, like what like his approach, like just lends to the extreme of like that tribalization. Just the POV.
I mean, I agree with everything that you said, but again, I always have to fight this fight. I don't like it when people equivocate the left and the right as doing the same exact thing, because that's totally not true, right? Are there different fractions of supreme on those sides as far as like the far left and far right? Absolutely not. And you brought up those points, but to say the reason why they can't be political discourse like it was, let's say about even 10 years ago, there was actually political discourse. Okay, I disagree with you, I don't agree with you, and these are the reasons why. Right now, the tribalism is on the right, equivocally on the right. Right. There's no equivalent of the loyalty to Trump is almost of a deity, of a god, of the second coming of Christ. No one did that with Joe Biden, right? They kind of sort of did that with Obama, but wasn't like. Well, but they kind of did do it with Obama, because I got a lot of people don't like me because I don't really like Obama.
Yeah, no, if you push back, I mean, but truthfully, even if you talk about outside of like the general scope of people that come on this channel and your channel, if you were black and you pushed back against Kamala or Biden inside the elections, and even if you just was giving like general thought, even if you said that I'm gonna go centrist or I'm gonna vote independent XYZ, like generally speaking, the majority of whether like wherever you commune at, whether that's gonna be like your Facebook grouping or your Instagram or like at the family gathering XYZ, you're gonna get like some side eye, smack teeth, and people gonna feel away. And it's not even based off of like them understanding a full fleshed out issue. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
this is where like
I'm arguing policy. So when we're talking about where people land on the political spectrum, let's say within the left or the right. So I see Steve in the comments saying Kamala is a centrist. LOL. She is a centrist. Mm-hmm. She is a centrist because and she didn't do what Hillary Clinton. Well, Hillary Clinton, she's kind of like a war hawk. But what Hillary Clinton did was placate into I'm a woman. Her campaign slogan was I'm with her. You know what I'm saying? I'm with her. Kamala Harris made a concentrated effort. And a lot of political analysts looked at this, and so it's like she made a concentrated effort to say American people, we're all American. We're all American. Oh, but you're the first black oh, you're the first black this. Oh, you're the first black woman. We are all American. We are all this. So, and and on top of that, I looked at her policy. So policy wise, she was a way better pick than Trump ever was. And we're in the fuck around to find out stage of, hey, we are right now, but I'm glad it's happening. But
right, all right. So, but we've also steered away from who's the original point was more so like discourse in conversation.
Yeah, I'm only pushing back the equivocation of both parties because they're not equal when it comes to the tribalism politically. They're just not. The right is more tribalistic.
And I think that this is probably like this is where I think we typically have like a stark disagreement. To me, I do think that it exists almost tribally on both sides to the exact same extreme. And it goes far right all the way down to like centrist right, centrist left, far left. I think that both of them are very, very similar inside. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I don't understand. I don't understand how.
But like just going to like the points that you were just making, I do want you to understand that like you were making you were advocating for a better candidate and not specifically about the discourse. And that's where I'm separating those two. Those are different points. Like, so what I'm talking about is like us as average black people or like average Americans talking about which policies that we do like, don't like, XYZ. I think that discourse rarely happens. I'm not speaking about like if I fuck with this candidate or that candidate or like Donald Trump being the second coming of Hitler or
I was responding to you saying about their as far as like their tribalism and their play into identity politics.
For sure. Even. I think both sides definitely do it.
Not even. There's no one on the left.
The left lost because of
Joe Biden's ass like this.
No, but it's not about but that's different. Like it doesn't have to be.
That's what I'm saying. So you can have an honest conversation with people. Now, look, I just want to have a conversation about America and the things that we could both agree on a bipartisan basis. But if you're saying, hey, look, these are the faults of your candidate, and your candidate has to fall in short. No, he's not. And that's what you get on the right. versus you can find someone like Medhi Hasan so far in this discourse. He said, well, I don't agree with what Joe Biden did. I don't agree with that. You're not going to find any person on the right.
You can, but like to me, like right now, you're doing the hyperbolic thing. Well, like
no, this is what happened.
But right now, like you heard what Medhi Hasan just spoke to, where these are the far right extremists. Like the title was, it seemed like it was supposed to be, or it actually is, far right conservatives. So like these are the fringe groups. But like I sit and listen to conservatives and liberals agree on certain things, and some of them like I'm especially right now. There's a lot of Trump critique that is happening, especially from the right. You're seeing a lot of it right now. You're seeing it, especially when it comes down to the war, the economy right now, the Epstein shit, him, even that, like there's like you're starting to see the rumblings of Trump. Fuck is happening over here, and they're starting to say it on publications. And again, what I'm saying is that, to me, where we go wrong as the public is we not like, I think like every time I bring this, you're saying like there's the left doesn't make Biden or Kamala a deity. I'm not as much as worried about like how the right might make, Trump a deity, as much as the idea of finding middle ground on both sides, right? So like if most right people say that the left is woke, I can't talk to none of them, and they're, LGBT loving, da. But on the other side, we often do hear, like, I'm not willing to have a conversation with somebody that voted for Trump. Like he's like, anybody that votes for Trump is a racist, fascist, XYZ, da. Where there is like reasonable people that did vote for Trump. There's reasonable people that are left leaning. And I think that the dialogue, the lack of actual real dialogue is a big part.
So hold on. I agree with you, but I kind of have to hold your feet to the fire to this. But I do agree with you. So when I ask you this question, it's not like I disagree. I disagree with you, but I'm trying to make a point. So if we know that Trump is a racist and a fascist and a rapist, well, I'm going to vote for the Trump. I'm going to vote for the fascists and the racists and the rapists. But that doesn't mean I like fascists, sexists, and rapists. You see what I'm trying to say? It's kind of like, I
understand what you said, but this is where you have, because like that's
I voted for Kamala, right?
I get it, but you know that like the left, the right would make a very similar straw man for anybody that voted for Kamala. And they would say that you're a woke LGBTQ XYZ lover. And my thing is, like, I understand what you're saying. To me, there's more value in asking and having conversations with that specific Trump voter and asking them why they voted for him. And every time, like, I've had those conversations, you end up being like, oh, all right, you was voting for a very specific thing. Like, I know somebody that like one of their they have like very specific issues that are dire to their direct life, and he lined up with that in comparison to what Kamala was going to present, and that was the thing this week. But then also, go ahead. Well, no, but like you also have to understand that a big portion of the voting populace aren't like specifically hyper educated as much as like they're voting off of like the unfortunate part of vibes. And like so much of it is like you've seen a big sway on like from Trump just based off of the over censorship and correction of the left, and people just wanting to get away from that shit. And like even that was its own thing.
I don't understand that particular phrasing, because like, and again, it goes back to the deification of a political candidate. If you're wrong and you getting fact checked, and everyone get fact checked, why is he getting fact checked? Because you're wrong. But again, I don't think that people that voted for Trump care about that as much as, like, for example, I think a lot of people voted not to vote for a Democrat more than like they even wanted to vote for Trump, and like that's his own thing, and that's more so what I'm saying. And I agree. But I think what how we could do, like, land the plane on this particular topic and we could keep it rolling, is that I do agree with you. Medhi is is not your typical I love Joe Biden, whatever, Democratic centrist and all that.
No, he's fair. Yeah,
he's different. And he's talking to far right people. So that's what makes this so interesting. So to your point, if we get centrist Republicans within the spectrum of Republicans, which will be rhinos, and you get centrist Democrats, right, that aren't,
it's going to be mad agreement points.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders, and you get those two reasonable people to talk, then you have a normal discourse. But you can't have the extreme left and extreme right have a conversation.
Of course, it never be that. It'll never be that. I'm just talking about that, like the normal American populace. Steve, welcome to the
show. Yo, what's up?
Hey, fellas, what's going on? Really quickly. So I got to take my ass to sleep in 10 minutes, but I think we got a 10-minute runway right here. Let's have a good conversation. Steve, talk to us, brother.
It's a good conversation, but I definitely do think a part of the problem is that we have a fundamental misunderstanding of exactly like where people stand politically. So, for example, people tend to say, "Well, the Democrats lost because they went too far left," but everything from election results show that they actually didn't give people what they demanded, which was an economically left platform. And because they always pander and cater to centrist right wingers, I mean, you got Chuck Schumer on video talking about we don't need youth vote or whatever, people in the city to vote. We'll get people in the suburbs to vote for us and all of this jazz. The Democrats have the main, not the corporate ones anyway, not like all of them, not AOC and Bernie Sanders and stuff. I'm talking about the Schumers, the Pelosi's. These people have made a concerted effort to go to the middle, to become more corporate, and they have lost because of that. And I think people misunderstand like why they are losing. Trump won because his message, regardless if he meant it or not, it sounds economically populist. He sounds like an economic populist. That is the demand that people want, and that tends to come from a left-wing economic theory. I just don't get how like people are still confused about this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So to where you're at, I think
talk about identity. When people talk about identity politics, what we typically are referring to when we see it from, because Bernie Sanders didn't engage in identity politics. He didn't. But typically what you see Democrats do is they weaponize identity politics against candidates who are actually to the left of them and say stuff like
the right does the same thing as well.
You hear stuff like this all the time from Democrats to go against Bernie Sanders. Well, universal programs doesn't do anything specifically for Black folks. That is identity politics. But people think identity politics is simply saying, I'm going to put a Black woman. No, the real weaponization of identity politics is by Democrats or not, corporate Democrats, in order to stop actual left-wing economic positions from, happening. They use, well, that really don't help the Black folks out because it's a universal program. Or if we do healthcare for all, how is that for the Black folk? That is actually how identity politics is weaponized to stop us from moving to a more left economic position in America. Like, I think people misunderstand what identity politics is actually used for. It's to blunt the movement of the left.
Listen, I think you said a bunch of things that also transcends this conversation and can be put into other conversations that we have. Like if you just use that specific thing, like I don't even disagree with.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, but I think it's important to why like there is this confusion around politics because like nobody like they don't understand when people say, oh well, I can't get with the Democrats because they with the LGBT or whatever. But like the Democrats is still funding the Pentagon at $1 trillion a year. So does that really change anything?
Right. And all right. So I think that's what I was going to go to earlier. So I think when you gave a comparison to the left and right, I think that you did something that I think that it doesn't make it fair where with Trump, you said that he gives the appeal that he is like an economic populist.
He does.
I agree. I agree with that. Your critique on the on the left was more so the fact that the people are actually passing like the Nancy Pelosi's XYZ, like they're more centrist Democrats, more safe Democrats in general. But what I would say is that I think that if we're speaking about like why a lot of people voted, I do think that the left had an appeal problem where, like, in the same way Trump does well appealing to demographics that he's never had their best interest in, and they just eat it up and love it. I think the Democrats have a horrible messaging issue where they message shit that they don't even be like for like that. Like, for example, go ahead.
And that's the trick bag. They don't have a messaging issue. That is the message, because that
I think that message, because they get spun so much. Like, if if you're a Republican right now, you would think that Kamala ran a campaign that dealt with like wanting trans people to be XYZ.
And this is where I don't believe these people are stupid. I think that's the message intentionally, because they understand that they cannot run on that other stuff because it's in direct conflict with the people who donate to their campaigns, who fund. Like, let's be real here. One of her campaign staff is staffed with Uber executives and bank executives. She can't go out there and run, and Mark Cuban is doing PR for her. Like, she can't go out there and run on, I'm gonna tax the wealthy. That's who literally is like her people.
Yeah,
like
the
actual go
ahead.
Like, the actual left wing position of America is Bernie Sanders and AOC. And that's why there's a phenomenon of the Bernie Trump voter. That's why there's a phenomenon of the AOC Trump voter. Like, there's not a phenomenon of the Nancy Pelosi and Trump voter. And it's specifically because of the appeal to economic populism that these groups share. One side is obviously more genuine in that, what they believe, but like,
yeah, well, and that's what you're speaking to. But I think that a part of the issue lies on both sides, where I think you're like the AOC and Trump voter, both of the voter, or I mean that voter in general, probably just appeals to populism in general. And
but populism has a it can have a economic character to it, like
Oh no, I get it. What I was going to say is that like that's why like you would have like somebody like some blend with Bernie and AOC and Trump, because all three of those people, like they, like in essence they try to be populist candidates. The issue is that same reason why like MAGA is not loved by Republicans, and like Bernie and AOC isn't loved by Democrats. I don't think either one of those parties are actually for that version of populism. I don't think either one of the parties are for socialism at all.
Amongst the voters, and this is why the trick bag is so crazy. Amongst Democratic voters, the two most popular Democrats is Bernie Sanders and AOC. And
the centrist Democrats is gonna block them,
right? Like, and that's the establishment versus like populism.
And this is just kind of the difference between the two parties, because the Democrat Party, as much as people try to say that they stupid, they're not stupid, because the Democrats, unlike the Republicans, was actually able to hold off. They've been able to hold off the populists. Not only have they been able to hold off the populists, but Bill Clinton successfully kicks all the populist Democrats out the party, and Bill Clinton takes the party over in 1992, and the party hasn't went back or even had a hint, almost one, close call in 2016. But from 1992 to present, that wing, those types of Democrats have ran the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party, which was actually a party of, in a weak position, which is why Trump is able to win that party. Like people got to stop underestimating Democrats.
But let me say this.
That they stupid.
But let me say this.
They really actually is doing what they're supposed to do because it's entrenching the status quo in which they support, which is all they care about. Pelosi gonna beat her no matter what. As long as she don't have to change away from the status quo, she's content with that.
But let me say this: like when we look at history, I mean, I remember Reagan, right? So Republicans know how to run campaigns. They're good at messaging, but they can't govern. They can't govern. The Democrats know how to govern, right? So if you go to, I mentioned this, I was on another podcast not too long ago. So you have Reagan, right? Comes into office, does the Iran-Contra and all this other stuff, putting drugs into the black neighborhoods. That's what he's doing, right? He did that. Really shit, right? Then after that, you had Clinton. Clinton came in, had to clean all that up. All right, fine. Clinton's out, right? He put certain policies in that helped, and you know, saying bipartisan policies that helped, right? Then George Bush Sr. comes in. We have the Gulf War, right? George Bush leaves. George Bush Sr. leaves, right? No, sorry. Yeah, it's Clinton. Yeah, it's Reagan, George Bush Sr., then Clinton. Then after Clinton leaves, then George Bush Jr. comes in. George Bush Jr., 9/11 happened, not his fault, but he's doing what Trump is doing now. They got weapons of mass destruction. Puts us in war is never good for the economy unless you're the industrial complex, right? Did that. Obama had to clean up all over again. And you know how the story goes. Every time a Republican's in office, they fuck up the country.
But
they
this is
add
also
to the deficit.
I mean, this is what I got to give a little bit of, like, there's more context to that than that. Because even once Bill Clinton takes over, Bill Clinton comes in and he cuts welfare. He does the 92 crime bill. He does NAFTA. Like, he doesn't just come in and like do, like, people like to have this, like, you know, nostalgic
Just
memory.
a democratic agreement. So when people always keep talking about the bipartisan, the crime bill, it was a bipartisan initiative. It wasn't.
It don't matter.
Just,
it don't matter.
It wasn't. Yes, it does matter because you can't put that on Bill Clinton. It wasn't an executive order. It wasn't that
but
the
Democrats, because
Republicans got voted out.
If he tell his people don't vote for it, it doesn't pass. But because Clinton
on his aisle, as well as people on the Republican aisle, they also voted for it. There were provisions in there that the Republicans also
I don't care. Kofi, I get it about the Republic. We understand that they are bad, but we cannot sit up here and say if Bill Clinton is not trying to make an appeal that he can be just as tough on crime as the Republicans can, because that is the thought process behind the 92 crime bill. Is Democrats is trying to show that they can be just as tough on crime, just as tough on black people. They can do welfare reform, and they could be just as nice to.
But did you know? But Steve, did you know that? But did you know that also there was black people, the black community also wanted.
And they were wrong.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Wrong. We can say all of that. They were all
in hindsight, they were wrong. But I'm talking about in that moment, at that time, it was something that everybody was on board with. It was a very small minority that was not on board with. The only person that was not on board with that was Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders voted for that crime bill. You know why he voted for that crime bill? He said, this is going to hurt the black community and it's very disproportionate, but I'm going to sign it because there's a provision in there for women, for domestic violence and domestic abuse and for women. That's the only reason why he voted for it.
He was wrong.
I mean, that's fair. I'm just laying out what the history is. I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong. I'm laying out the history.
But this goes back to my broader point. That we keep saying that Democrats keep going left, but all of their worst stuff that they ever do is to make a grander appeal to centrists and right wingers. All the worst stuff that Democrats have done.
The liberal right wingers, not the extreme right wingers. I agree with you there.
Even the liberal. Anytime we talking about, think of like this myth that we have about Obama. Obama literally ushers in the gig economy, which then allows you to put people as contractors in so many different fucking jobs, and they don't get no rights. But somehow we don't remember this. His shit was filled before Uber got his approval. It took Obama getting in the White House and somebody who worked at Uber being in the administration.
Hey, I'm not an Obama fan, so
like these people
you're preaching to the choir here.
Steve, Kofi, we're gonna save the rest of this for a good Wednesday.
Yeah. Because I could go all day on how, like, if people really understood it, the Democrats are not losing because they are going to the left. We could talk about all the social stuff and whatever. People always gonna argue about the social stuff, but even it was at a point in time in this country where if people argued about the social stuff, there was economic policy that neither party could touch because it was just so politically, you was gonna lose. Like you couldn't do that. Like you could talk about you hated black folks or whatever the case may be, but you could not politically do certain stuff economically because conservative Democrats and liberal Republicans who voted for those bases wouldn't allow for it. It's only in the modern day that we have a part of the party where you can actually run on hurting working class people and they win.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the right.
I ain't gonna go too much further on it, but it's
Oh no! Listen, I'm pretty sure this is a conversation that's gonna come back up. If not Wednesday, it'll be the next Wednesday. It's guaranteed. Appreciate y'all, Steve. It looked like you won the chat today. Wana, he said that Steve's pretty smart.
Don't say that, man. Don't say that. I don't think so.
Look at that humble brag.
That's how Steve is smart, because he's modest. Smart people are modest.
No, as it should be. Nonetheless, if I get time, I'm gonna try and tackle some of the rest of this. But if not, I think that this has led to some fun, interesting conversation. I'll also say Wednesday. Tomorrow I'll let y'all know what the topic would be. Kind of bouncing between a couple of different things, but nonetheless, no. Wednesday, 9:30, we're going to be having another one of these heady conversations. Fun. I'm sure we'll bounce around between politics, some social conversations when it comes down to a lot of the different things that's going on. Maybe we'll throw a little Ghislaine Parton talk in there. What'd you say, Steve?
I got one last thing to say to everybody in the audience. Just make sure when you go home and your old lady pulling up, you in that garage changing that oil, man. You know.
Shout out to that
joke. I don't get it.
you wouldn't get it.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, that's a to be fair one right there. Shout out to the homie Rail. Shout out to all. Listen, yeah, I'm gonna save all these jokes to Wednesday. He looks at the Wednesday show, but yeah, if you know Rail is an advocate for 1930 men. Like that's the only way that your marriage is ever gonna work if you are like a traditional 1930 man, and that like he's an advocate for it. But nonetheless. What is that? 4:30 on Sundays. It's a little bit more of a lighthearted show. We joke around a lot more. Make sure you pull up to that. Kofi, let the people know what next broadcast what you got coming up.
I don't have anything much in the works. I'm a kind of a spontaneous type of poster, but thank you for that shout out. For those of you who's hearing me, subscribe to my channel, Kofi the Black Critic. I did something about a week or so ago with our brother Chuck, about what a kata is and stuff like that. It's don't get hung up by the word. It's very, very educational, and it's not what you think it is. Right. So don't let certain things trigger you and block you from getting very good information. But so it's worth checking out. And shout out to him and to the chat and everybody and to Steve.
For sure. All right, fellas. With that said, this has been a fun stream. Again, Piers Morgan, not Piers. We didn't get to the Piers Morgan one, but Medhi Hasan, He was on Jubilee. I do enjoy these Jubilees. When interesting ones come, I'm gonna try and get into doing a little bit more of these. Chat, Discord. Make sure that y'all hit me up if y'all see some interesting long form conversational back and forth things. This is something I want to get into a little bit more. Just kind of having some conversations based off of dialogue and content. But nonetheless, with that said, this has been a fun stream. I am Q. Shout out Steve. Shout out Kofi. Shout out the chat. Juana. I seen LTO in there a little bit. Unc, he was there for a quick second, came in and out. Catch us on Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.